This is Shirah Benarde, and you are in the press row.
Welcome to the Press Row. From sports media to startups, retail to revolutionaries. The Press Row. Authentic conversations with game changers and visionaries. Now here's your host, Jonah Sigel.
Jonah here, Press Row. Happy Tuesday. Good to see you. Really interesting guest today. I met her about a week ago when I was in Tampa for the Shark Tank reunion. It's very rare that there's products in there that are both interesting, cool, and yet have a service behind them that makes sense and is important. That is today's. It is been uber successful. She got an offer. The offer came through. It is something that has purposeful and growing. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode of In the Press Row with a very cool Shark Tank product. Happy Tuesday morning, post Groundhog Day. I don't know whether Punxsutawney Phil saw or didn't see his shadow. I understand that the vast majority of time when he does, he's wrong. So if he saw it, I think if he sees it, we're going to get more win. I don't know, whatever, who cares? I am super stoked to have today's guest sitting virtually in front of me. We met in the lovely city of Tampa Bay about a week ago. It's funny, I went to this Shark Tank alumni reunion event, and there was a couple of people who've been on the show that I was kind of hoping would be there because they have really cool stories and products. A lot of people have cool products, but Shirah, you have both. Shirah Benarde is here. Welcome. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. Excited to see what we can unpack here.
So you have a very cool product and a very cool story. And it's one of those, there's a bit of a social cause to it. As everyone who watches my podcast know, I have two college-age kids. An older boy who's a senior at Colorado Boulder, also known as DONU. My daughter is at The Ohio State. They may have just won a national championship. The topic of alcohol and drinking is certainly prevalent. One of your colleagues has also agreed, who's in that realm or ecosystem or environment, is also going to come on the podcast with a completely different product. But in a couple of words or more, or tell us how your product came to life, and then we'll go on from there.
Yeah, so Nightcap came to life out of a dream, but also out of a friend that was roofied at the bar. I was 16, and I had a college friend who had her drink spiked, and a few weeks later, I went to bed one night and woke up. I went to bed and thought of this idea of a scrunchie that doubles as a drink cover while I was sleeping. And I woke up and basically, sat down with my dad, and I tried to, instead of explain it to him, show him what I was thinking in my head. And so I ran upstairs and I grabbed my mom's pantyhose and a scrunchie from my room, and I created the first prototype that we quickly, my dad quickly said nightcap or top hat. And we went with obviously nightcap. So, we kind of put our heads together and thought, like, if this could save one person, why don't we just see what we can do with it? And from there, he was helping me with his resources, because as a 16-year-old, I didn't know many people.
You didn't? Hard to believe.
I didn't know many people except for my classmates, but my dad was a very friendly guy throughout his career. So he wasn't an entrepreneur, but he had a lot of friends, and he called a graphic designer and a seamstress, and I would sit down with the seamstress every few weeks, and she would create a new prototype. And the graphic designer came up with a few logos for us. And then my brother ended up coming home from Florida State University for the summer, and he saw my prototype on the table. And that's when he ended up dropping pretty much everything to help me start the company and work with me on the business. But he also knew how bad drink spiking was at his university. So the product itself is like a drink cover, and it doubles as a scrunchie. Now we have keychains as well, and stickers and bottle tops. And basically we are the number one brand to go to, no matter who you are or what you're drinking, to protect yourself.
All right, so let's just back up for 1 second. We have some listeners who may not know some terminology, so let's pause here for a second. So what we're talking about is people, and it does happen to both genders, predominantly women, but someone's sitting at the bar, they're talking, and while they go to the bathroom, they look away, someone puts some type of drug into their drink, which will cause them to become not even inebriated, but almost, but pass out. It's the date rape drug. That's what Rohypnol is, and you referred to it as roofing. When you said a scrunchie, for those of you playing along, not sure what that is, a lot of predominantly women, mostly women, use a device called a scrunchie. They typically wear it on their wrist, and then when they want to put their hair in a ponytail or something like that, they use that to put their hair up. Have I misrepresented anything as the older father of a daughter?
No, I mean, I think with drink spiking, though, people talk about it lightly, and we think that it is predominantly women, but it really happens to everyone, and it can happen in a split second when you're just not looking or not paying attention. And the most common person to spike your drink is someone that you know. So it actually is very common, but for friends to do this, family to do this, people think it's funny, or they think they're doing you a favor. But it's also not just Rohypnol. But yes, Rohypnol does come from the term roofie, comes from the term Rohypnol, but it's Rohypnol, it's GHB, it's Xanax, it's alcohol, it's anything that you didn't consent to wanting in your beverage.
So I'm curious, because you said that some people do it because they think it's funny. I always thought that there was like a predator intent. Is that not the case?
There definitely is. I think it's just we only think that it's going to be, like a creepy stranger, when in reality, most of the time it's someone that you know. So yeah, I mean, I think in any form of that is predatory and gross, but yeah, I think we should all remember that it could be anyone, and it could be no matter, like, anything you're drinking. So it doesn't have to be, a young female drinking out of a huge glass. It can be a beer bottle, a can, water. Yeah, it doesn't have to be alcohol. So yeah, a big part of our company is just awareness and educating people on the subject, and telling people how easy it can happen.
So behavior used to be that kids, or anyone, typically kids, young adults, would go to a fraternity party, for example. Mm-hmm. And although it's not sanctioned, the fraternities would have kegs or bars, and the dissemination of alcoholic beverages would ensue in a cup. And your goal was that people would have a device on them, which they already had, which they then could immediately put on the cup to prevent somebody from putting something foreign into it that they didn't want. Is that it?
Yeah. So there's two purposes for the product. One is the preventative measure. It covers your drink. So the quick pill drop, it's going to prevent somebody from walking by and just being able to drop something in your drink. And the other side of things is the deterrent. So it tells the bad actor that you're aware of the problem and you're not one to be messed with. And it, makes it a little harder for someone to want to take something off your drink. But we always say that you should never leave your drink unattended, with or without a nightcap. So it's not for putting on your drink and then going to the bathroom. It's for when you're holding, it's for when your drink's like right next to you, right in front of you.
And there's been, my understanding again, that there's been quite a bit of change in behavior at bars and at fraternities and sororities as a result, right? Like, they're doing things as well to prevent the opportunity. So they're giving out cups with lids, or they're not giving out, they're going with types of alcoholic beverages that don't have the opportunity to put something in them.
I can't say that I know what they're doing, but I know that it's a common thing for fraternities to have jungle juice with drugs already in it. So everyone who's at the party is already drinking from like a, big, what do you
Vat.
call it? Yeah, just like everyone's drinking from the same contaminated source. I mean,
Right.
we think it's like a vodka fruit punch, but it's like a vodka Xanax fruit punch, really, is what it is.
So in that instance, there's nothing you can do about it, right? Like we're not going to, but nobody's going to cure that problem. If you have a bad actor, you have a bad actor.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
a
and
problem
those
at the source.
fraternities are their own problem.
Right.
If you've been to a fraternity party and you've drank that stuff, like you probably don't anymore. So yeah, I mean, in those situations, it's you bring your own stuff, or like grab things that are unopened, but the products are mainly for like, you've made your own drink. I always say watch your drink being made. Like make it yourself if you can, and then cover it, and then, never leave it unattended. But in those situations at parties and at intimate events, like fraternities where you think everyone, those pre-game environments where we are like, we let our guard down is actually where we're most vulnerable, because we think that it's not going to happen to us.
All right. So let's be clear about one thing. No one is here to bash the Greek life on college campuses. I'm just asking specific questions, and both my kids are in the system, so I'm not anti. So let's be perfectly clear. I'm just trying to ask about environments that I'm familiar with, where I know drinking may or may not go on from time to time. So I'm just trying to understand. So I understand that the product has now evolved beyond just a scrunchie into other modes. Is that right?
Yeah. So we kind of took the scrunchie appeal and created a unisex option. So we didn't just give women the option to cover their drinks. So we have a keychain, and it's more unisex. We have stickers, they're disposable. And then we have beer bottle tops, things for every beverage. So, if you're drinking out of a can, we have something for that. We have gift boxes and college boxes, and we do a lot of bulk orders, and we customize the product. So sometimes you'll get it with like your university logo on it or something fun like that. But yeah, we probably have like 8 products now, I think.
And which one's growing the fastest?
Definitely the scrunchie would be the hero product.
Even still.
Yeah, 1000%.
Wow. All right. So you were one of the few, and I've watched every single episode, where it was a no-brainer you were going to get a deal, like instant. Did you have that feeling going on to the show?
Not really. I had a feeling that they wouldn't rip us apart because we were younger, but no, I wasn't 100% knowing that would happen.
And the show was a little bit farther along. You weren't like in the single digit years. You were later, correct?
Single digit years. I was season 12 episode.
Right. Yeah. So season 12. You weren't 1 through 9. And so by then, like, you knew what the show was about. I'm sure you had an idea as to what was going to go on. Like, did you do any coaching, any training, any prep work? Like, how ready for you? Because when I watched it, you looked pretty polished, age notwithstanding.
I mean, we had a lot of time to practice. So we're quarantined in a hotel for like 10 days. And, you know your pitch, and you obviously want to do a good job pitching. You practice it 100 times, and that's kind of what we did. And when we had so much time in the hotel room, we would just pitch and pitch and pitch. We watched all the episodes too, so we could kind of know what they were going to ask us. But yeah, I mean, we didn't want to go in there and get ripped apart, so we did prepare for it.
What was the most surprising part of being on the show?
Probably that there's no music when you walk out. You're like expecting them to play the Shark Tank song, but there's no actual, it's dead silent.
And did anyone shark surprise you with their behavior, their questions, their attitude, anything like that?
I feel like Damon was probably the most intense. Like he
Okay.
was he felt very serious, and he was the only one to really not be as involved in the conversation. And yeah, he was very, very serious guy.
And is there any did you have any interaction with them off camera, or it's all on camera? Like when you go, and then you leave, or is that it?
Yeah, I mean that's it, because they're filming all day long. They don't have time to like hang out and
Right.
talk.
And so you got an offer from Lori. How did it go after? Like, what was the details after you got the offer? Like, how quickly did she engage? How was it getting a deal, like actual deal done?
Good. I mean, it didn't take that long. It was just like 3 months after. We just, they go over and make sure you're not lying about stuff, and then you just like, if both parties are still interested, then you kind of just keep going with it. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing crazy that I could tell you. Like, it's just kind of, it either goes through or it doesn't. And then, we filmed like, we filmed in August, closed the deal in like November, and then the airing was in February.
And how did she help you with the airing? Like, is there stuff that she does or did in and around airing, post airing, to kind of help you prepare or boost, or what was her involvement like post airing?
She was pretty involved. I mean, like, this was honestly like 4 years ago at this point, so I don't really remember the details of this, but like, she hopped on the phone with us and like talked to us, like prepared us for what was going to happen, that kind of thing.
Is she still involved today?
Yes, she is still involved today. She is a great mentor.
Is she? She's helpful?
Yeah. I mean, we have a great relationship with her, and she's super, super cool, super nice.
That's awesome. What would you say is the best advice you got from her?
I don't know if I can share it. I'll give you the second best piece of advice, though.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm just kidding, but
that's leaving everybody guessing. But how about a good piece of advice that you've gotten from her?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the stuff that she's really good at is just like seeing a product and knowing, and kind of like she taught us like how to get a product to catch your attention. Like, if you're looking at a product on the shelf, do you actually know what it is? Because most people aren't really paying that much attention, and if it doesn't grab your attention within like 2 seconds, they're walking. So it has to be, the branding has to be there. So she probably, that was probably the best advice that we've ever got, because it was 17. Like, I didn't really think of these things at the time. Yeah.
How big a role did TikTok play in your success?
Huge role. I don't know where we would be without the platform. We definitely like utilized it to its fullest and still do it. Kind of. But yeah, I mean, like, I posted on TikTok since we started, and we've had extremely viral success on there. So it's definitely helped like brand awareness, and people definitely know the name of the brand. So that's been nice. People, know, they call it a nightcap. It's like they know the name, which I feel like TikTok has really helped. And I attribute that to the platform.
So according to an article in Forbes, one of your TikTok posts alone brought in $40,000 in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a record for one post?
No, we definitely had like one post bring in over 6 figures. But the $40,000 post, that was a viral TikTok that we made for going on Shark Tank, and we were able to be pitching to the sharks and tell them that we had, we made $40,000 in the last 6 weeks, and that was really great to be able to say, because they were like, oh, this, this silly product has credibility behind it if they're making 40 grand in a month. So it was nice. It was really, really helpful.
And how did you learn your TikTok skill?
I feel like it honestly just came with like my age, because I was like born into the social media stuff. Like I had Instagram and Snapchat at like 10 years old, and I was always making videos and editing videos. And I think I just like, when you like to do it, it comes easy. So TikTok was kind of just one of those things that I enjoy, and I like sharing with our audience, what the product is and who we are, what's going on behind the scenes, and seeing being able to just connect with your customers literally through a comment section is really powerful. And you get to get so much feedback and new product advice and stories about people who have had their drinks spiked. And like, I don't think there's ever been a platform where you can reach so many people. And it's just been really helpful for like innovating and trying to adapt to different cultures.
There's a lot of people out there who profess to be TikTok experts who try to sell their expertise, their ingredient list, their cookbook, if you will.
Yeah.
What I think I'm hearing from you is it's really about authenticity.
Yeah.
Because you can't really teach that. And that from your experience, what I'm hearing is you are comfortable in front of your camera, and you are okay sharing moments of vulnerability and authenticity. And if you do that and you connect with your audience, they're willing to buy what you're selling.
Yeah, I agree with most of that. I would say that I definitely didn't come super natural at first to being on camera. I think that takes like a little bit to adjust to, but once you do it enough, then yeah, you can get the rhythm of it. And I agree, like authenticity is probably the most important thing, because I mean, our generation or I guess TikTok consumer generation knows and can literally smell from a mile away if you're being not, ingenuine. And so they know when there is a founder behind a brand that is being truthful. And, most of the time, if something sketchy is going on, they're probably not showing their face. So yeah, I think it's really important to just like to know like what the purpose of what you're selling is, and then portray that in the most true way.
So where I find that people fall down is where they're trying to follow that cookbook inauthentically. So they spend so much time on the look, they spend so much time on hashtags, on a call to action or a hook. And what they're not doing is being themselves and saying, here's what I did today, or here's what happened to me. Here's how that made me feel, or here's what I'm feeling. And instead, they're saying, well, here's how Shirah did it, or here's how this happened. This is why you should do that. And instead, they're like, well, it worked for this person. Why isn't it working for me?
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone has a different format for the platform, but the most important thing is just like being able to grab people's attention, keeping it and getting to the point. A lot of people talk way too slow for the platform, and by the time you've already said, okay, hey guys, what's going on? Just want to pop in here. No one cares anymore. Like the attention span is like 1.7 seconds now. So I wouldn't say it's very hard. I think people just really need to get to the point, and yeah.
So you're saying that the average user, when they pick up their phone and they're watching TikTok, if you haven't caught their interest in 1.7 seconds, they're gone.
Yeah.
And do you think that's the same thing on Instagram with a reel?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So there's an age gap between you and I. Do you think that is the same with our demographics in consuming content on the platforms?
I think I think what comes into account is like how often are you consuming content? Because I think I don't know if it's age, because there can be people my age that read a lot of books and don't scroll and have a way longer attention span and have the patience to stick around for a video rather than like, or there could be someone your age that's like doom scrolling all day long. And they're probably, so I think it's like, it really depends like on your habits.
So if I hear you correctly, then if somebody wanted to get into this, the first and most important step is to know your audience and do your homework and figure out who your intended audience is. Because if it's a younger generation with a shorter attention span, catching their ear, eye, and focus quickly is critical. The second piece is then being authentic. The third piece is dotting your I's and crossing your T's. So getting that, the formatting right, if you will. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, but I would almost say skip number one, because if you can say, yeah, know your audience, or you can skip to number two, know yourself, be authentic, and your audience will find you. Because there are countries and people and cultures that we didn't think that we would even reach. So I think just find what matters to you and your audience will follow.
So I'm looking at this Forbes article from January of 24. It says you have just under 500,000 followers on TikTok. I'm assuming that number's gone up.
No.
You're not? No?
It actually hasn't. No, pretty stagnant on the platform now, but Instagram has gone up, but yeah.
And is that because you're spending more time on Instagram, or just the platform is evolving and Reels have become more popular?
I think the algorithms,
Okay.
To be honest, if I knew, I'd probably figure out how to change it. But no, I mean, we gained like a huge following in the first 2-3 years of posting, and then it just kind of stayed stagnant. But I mean, we still reach people a lot. Most of the time, like people are still liking, sharing, but just not following.
And how much time and energy was wasted or spent on the TikTok shutdown? Did that occupy a lot of rent in your brain?
No, not really. I didn't think it was going to happen, so I wasn't worried about it. But I did, like, we have other platforms for that reason on Instagram and on YouTube. So it was just, something to adjust to. And I honestly just felt bad for people who make full-time incomes on there. And yeah, I mean, it probably would have hurt us in the long run, but it would have hurt everyone. So I don't know. We would have figured it out.
So where do you see the company going now? Like, listen, the problem's not going away. When they talk about the decline in alcohol consumption, you've made it clear that it's not just alcohol. People, unfortunately, are bad actors, and they're putting, whether it's a Gatorade, a water, a wine cooler, they're going to find a way to be bad actors. So you've gone from scrunchies to keychains to stickers, but predominantly scrunchies are the thing. Is the idea to continue to evolve this company, or do you want to exit and try and find something else? Where's your head at?
I think evolve the company. I'm not really looking to sell it right now. Just, I think, I just want to expand on the products that we have and get them into more hands of the people that need it, like college students. Like, we work with 200 universities, but I think we need to be working with 5,000 universities. I don't know how many schools there are in total, but I think every student, it needs to be normalized like a condom. And when you step foot onto a university, they're giving you all the safety gadgets and tools that you need. It needs to be right there with that. And yeah, just expanding and getting into more people's hands. So building upon what we already have.
What's the barrier to getting to more colleges?
The amount of people we have. We have 2 employees.
You and your brother.
Mm.
So have you considered things like a college ambassador program?
Yeah, but our product costs $12. College students are making $1 if they sell one, and it's not worth it to them.
Gotcha. If you find the right students, though, right? Like, there are victims on campuses who I'm sure would love to champion your product.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they would, but there's so many other things that we have to do right now that the ambassador program is just not really worth our time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you just had a massive accomplishment, the state of California. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, how it came to be and what you've accomplished?
Yeah, so about a year and a half ago, we had the council member from Long Beach, California, reach out to us about the drink spiking epidemic over there. And we got on a call with him and his team, talked to him about pretty much most of what I've talked to you about is the issue and how common it is and how it can happen to anyone. This is why it's happening. This is how you need to prevent it. And then about 3-4 months ago, we ended up getting an email saying that California had passed the law that every bar will require having drink covers starting July 1st. So that is going to be fun. And I'm glad that they are doing something to help people over there.
So what does that mean for your business? I mean, California is a big state with a lot of wine production and alcohol consumption. I'm sure you know how many bars.
I'll tell you what it means for our business July 1st. when we are in the bars and stuff, because I don't know, you never know. And you never know what could happen, but hopefully good things for us, and we'll just continue doing what we do.
Is there a lot of competition in your space, or are you kind of alone on the island?
No, there's really not competition, but you just never, there's really not. We're like the only company.
Well, you did an awesome job on Shark Tank. It was fantastic meeting you at the event in Tampa. The story is incredible. You give great marketing advice. You can see her on her website, which we will put here. Her story is incredible. She's doing amazing work with her brother. It's an awesome product. It's really, really important. As I said, there's lots of products that go on Shark Tank that are cool that you wonder. Like last night, I watched one where that was how to dress up your water bottle, and they're making like 5 or 6 million, and that's cool and it's fun, but it's not a social thought. Yes.
Yeah.
This one's different. I'm sure each of us in our circle knows someone who's had this happen to them, or a daughter or a friend. I do. It's important. And Shirah, it's a really cool product and service that you've launched, really built into something special with your brother. And we hope that you crush it. Come see what I did there with wine in California. We hope you crush it come July 1st, and we'll be watching and cheering along. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you to Shirah Benarde. Today's episode of In the Press Row, her very cool product. I'm sure you're now going to be looking for them. The website is all over mine, so you can buy the product. You can find the product. It is really important. I know of a couple of people who have had their drinks spiked. Having something like this around is critical. It's super impressive that the state of California has mandated this. I don't think it's woke. I'm sure people out there do, but Shirah and her brother are really doing yeoman's work, both from a business entrepreneurial spirit, from a marketing spirit, but also from a service spirit. And I use the word spirit intentionally. It's great to see, and I think it's really, really important. So thank you, Shirah. Really enjoyed having you on today's show. As always, please follow on all the various social media channels. If you'd like to appear, you can, or advertise, you can reach out to me via email or social channels, and subscribe, follow, do all those things, and we will see you next time in the press row. Thank you.